Dreams. Most call them illusions, scientists call them electrical signals and molecules, but to us, they reveal what we want, what we fear, and what we refuse to accept, like a brutal face-to-face between our conscious and our unconscious mind, a deep dive into a world we forget, one we barely understand. Inception, The Matrix, Shutter Island. Be it games, music, or movies, pop culture takes endless inspiration. Even in mythology, dreams were never just dreams. And maybe that's why the ancients believed that dreams weren't just visions of the mind, but messages from the gods. But in anime and manga, one thing is certain. Dreams aren't just storytelling devices, they are the story. If conflict is what creates a story, then it is the protagonist through whose lens we consume it. Without a protagonist, there is no story. But without a dream, there is no protagonist. So let's talk about it. What is it about dreams that makes us obsessed with them? And why do most of them stay just that? Dreams. In a story, a character's dream can be used to establish a truth about him or the world. Think of Guts' nightmare about Gambino after his fight with Griffith. The dream creates an open loop that eventually climaxes later in the story. Or Edward's daydream after he picks up A Beginner's Guide to Alchemy, which tells us the entire backstory. Dreams can also be used in many other ways, as foreshadowing or as a chance for character growth. I mean, Attack on Titan says it all. But that isn't what I actually wanted to talk about. So, where do I start this? Griffith. No, that's better. Griffith! Ever since he was a child, Griffith's dream was simple.
I will have my own kingdom.
Every single action he takes points back to that one thing. We first meet him through Guts' eyes, and in short, Guts loses a fight, gets forced into the Band of the Hawk, and suddenly he's under Griffith's command. From the very beginning, Griffith barely speaks, but it's obvious he's in charge. We first see this when Casca hesitates to aid Corcus, and all it takes is a glance from Griffith. I mean, seriously, his side-eye works better than Lelouch Skias. But jokes aside, later when Casca is defeated far too easily, it's Griffith who steps in and defeats Guts with just one swing. But the more time we spend, the more questions pop up. Who is he? How does he affect the story? What is his obsession with the protagonist? Naturally, we want to know.
What kind of guy is Griffith, really?
Judo tells him that it isn't just because of the rewards they'll get from sticking by his side, it's because he has something ordinary people like us can never understand. A belief beyond battle, beyond victory, which, to be honest, I can't really understand. Does that make me ordinary? No one truly knows what he's thinking, but the band trusts him to lead them to places they could never reach on their own, just like we trust him to push the story forward. His belief in everything is what makes us believe in him. When you compare him to other characters, something just feels off. Naruto wants to be Hokage to get the validation he was denied as a kid. Lelouch fights Britannia because of his hatred for injustice against his sister. Thorfinn wants revenge for his father, and even someone like Light wants to rebuild the world because he thinks it's rotten. They all have a clear why. You know, just a minor detail when you're planning world domination. No, but seriously, his kingdom is neither purpose nor a goal, just a childish fantasy. But that's not why I'm talking about it. See, Griffith as a fictional character represents a part of Kentaro Miura's psyche, which obviously goes for every author of every story. I know. And throughout numerous moments in said story, Miura shows that he has understood a universal concept that we forgot somewhere along the line. He understands what it means to dream. We say stuff like, a dream without a plan is just a wish, but that's not fully true. Personally, I prefer a dream without sacrifice is just an illusion. When you think about it, everyone wants the same things. Health, wealth, relationships, and happiness. Yet, only a select few people actually have these things. It's because they understand that everything has a price. They don't just stare at it from afar. Both people may want the same thing to some extent, One of them just wants it more. These 4 eternal markets, or life in general, are like one big auction house. Everybody wants the same, but there isn't enough for everyone. And the ones who get it are the ones who are willing to pay more than anyone else. Sure, you want an athletic physique, but are you willing to adopt the lifestyle that it takes to achieve it? Of course, you'd like to have an extra 10k on your bank account, but are you ready to put in the work that is necessary to get there? For which of you wanting to build a tower does not first sit down and count the cost? In those cases, you're doing nothing but wishing. Griffith, on the other hand, dreams. He's a visionary. He gives us proof of just how bad he wants his kingdom. We get more information of whatever's going on in his head in chapter 12 when he talks to Charlotte. The conversation starts with the princess stating that she cannot comprehend why men engage in bloodshed, to which Griffith responds, quote, "But that is a tool by which they protect and secure precious things. I suppose it's a double-edged sword." The princess asks him if he means things like loved ones and family, to which he answers to her surprise that while they are precious, there is something else a man must come upon before he can obtain those two, quote, "For no other's sake, to accomplish it for him himself, a dream. One who dreams of world domination, one who devotes his whole life to the thorough tempering of one's sword. If there is a dream which takes one whole lifetime to find, there are also dreams which, like storms, devour tens of thousands of other dreams." He then goes on about how that thing, a dream, is separate from things like social status, a theme that comes up multiple times. Whether it suits them or not, people yearn for a dream, sustained by a dream, hurt by a dream, revived by a dream, killed by a dream, and even after being abandoned, it continues to smolder from the bottom of one's heart, probably until the verge of death. A man should envision such a lifetime once, a life spent as a martyr to the God-named dream. By definition, a martyr is a person, or in this case a group, made to suffer because of their beliefs, because of Griffith's belief, his dream, but that also includes himself. In chapter 17, him being willing to go so far as to sell himself echoes the same idea. Quote, "I don't feel at all responsible about soldiers who have lost their lives under my command. It's because they themselves chose to fight." And in the 1997 dub, Griffith says to Charlotte, "Dreams breathe life into men
and can cage them in suffering."
And maybe that's exactly what happens when the dream turns into a nightmare. The eclipse is the point in the Golden Age that is destined to shock viewers. The inferno literally consuming the other flames, an auction of flesh and blood, and okay, I'll stop. When I first saw the scene of the old lady telling Griffith that this is what he wanted all along, I thought it was just the God hand trying to manipulate him. But in the context of everything we've covered so far, it makes total sense. Quote, "You shouldn't have come here to begin with. It isn't a place for the delicates. Why couldn't you simply be content gazing at the castle from afar? You knew all along what this place was." End quote. And she's right. The average person would be content with gazing at the castle from afar. They don't step foot into the place built on the cobblestones of sacrifice, and probably for the better, because the intent, the pursuit alone, is enough. What people don't get is that even without the unrealistic events of the eclipse, his dream would still be a blood-smeared one. The eclipse just made it literal, and he knew it all along. You don't get to dream without sacrifice. A dream pursued simply for one's own sake alone cannot be morally justified. There is no greater good, only selfishness. It's why most people wouldn't do it, why most people don't have their own kingdom, and why most people's dreams stay dreams. Wait, so why do they stay dreams? What, you mean you didn't get it? I mean, kind of, but not really. Because most people don't want it, huh? See, that's exactly what I mean. You just explain things too hand-wavy. Hand-wavy. Well then how about this? Newton's third law. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. It sounds like a no-brainer, but think about it. Every decision creates a cost somewhere else. Whenever something increases, something else decreases somewhere. If you get closer to the stars, you're moving further away from the ground.
What are you talking
and
about?
just
That
like
doesn't
that,
even make more
you
sense.
can't
There's no
sell
such thing as a
anything
painless
without
lesson.
someone else
They
paying
just don't
for
exist.
it. You can't move forward without leaving something behind. And
You can't gain anything without losing something first. Sacrifices are necessary.
Fullmetal Alchemist builds on the law of equivalent exchange. The 2003 anime goes so far as to mention it in every episode. Humankind cannot gain anything without sacrificing something first. I think we pretty much all get that by now. Apart from kind of standing in Brotherhood's shadow, it has changed its message quite drastically. In one of the episodes, a young girl steals Edward's leg. For context, this is right after Scar destroys Edward's automail. After following the girl, and God knows how he did that with one leg, he ends up meeting her grandfather, who clears up the misunderstanding. Edward offers to tell them where they can get a proper automail, but the man refuses. He says that losing his leg also gave him something in return, the peace of living quietly with his grandchildren. Maybe humans need to lose something first to gain something of true value. You alchemists call this equivalent exchange, right? You too must have gained something. Edward snaps. He says that he lost an arm and a leg, and his brother his entire body, and they never gained anything back. Every day they keep fighting, keep moving forward just to undo everything. That is their dream, just to make things the way they used to be. His frustration brings us the man's response. The beauty of a dream is that it's a fantasy. If it actually happens, then it was never a dream. Still, we're going to get everything back. Towards the end of the series, Izumi tells him, "You've grown up," and we can see the character development ourselves. He goes from "I'll pay any price" to "some prices just aren't worth paying" when he decides to not use the Philosopher's Stone, even if it means that they'll never get their bodies back. It's worth mentioning his final conversation with Mustang, when the lieutenant asks him, "But wasn't that your dream all along, to one day use the stone to get back what you and your brother had lost? What good does it do if it's only our dreams that come true? Then there is something more important than that? Yes, there is something more important than yourself, than your dream. There always is. Even when our eyes are closed, there is a whole world out there that lives outside ourselves and our dreams." Sticking with alchemy, there's a Greek tale of a man whose dream became a reality. King Midas once did a favor for a god, and as a reward he was granted a wish. Without hesitation, he asked that everything he touched turn to gold. His dream was fulfilled, but when he reached for bread or wine, it also turned into gold, and when his daughter ran into his arms, he lost her as well. Terrified, Midas begged the god to take the gift back. He didn't actually want what he wished for, or at least didn't want the drawback that came with it. Let me wrap this up. Some dreams are better off as goalposts, meant to be aspired towards but ultimately never achieved. You get it now? Yeah, sure, when you say it like that, it makes more sense. But even as goalposts, the road still requires sacrifice. Yeah, sure, you're right. That road isn't easy. At times it might feel as though you're marching through hell, and even that march isn't free. I don't know if it's going to be worth, nor what lies beyond that.
Give up on your dream and charge to your death.
It's not an easy task to boil down a series like AOT to a single sentence, but if you held me at gunpoint, the one line that stays the most consistent throughout the series is, "To rise above monsters, we must abandon our own humanity," and obviously what comes before and after it. The first time we hear it is in chapter 27, titled Erwin Smith, during the 57th expedition, when John tells Armin that if more people had known about Erwin's plan, there would have been fewer casualties. After all, hundreds of lives were sacrificed just to capture the female Titan. Armin replies that it's easy to say what someone should have done afterward, but the truth is, compared to their enemy, the scouts know absolutely nothing. But the flow of time won't stop for us. The time to make a decision always comes, even when we don't know the outcome. Parallels, by the way, directly with Ecclesiastes 11:4. No matter how good the results are, it doesn't erase the senseless deaths of those soldiers. The commander may be a cruel, even evil man, but I think that's good. I haven't lived an especially long life, but there's one thing I'm sure of. The people capable of changing things are the ones who can throw away everything dear to them. When forced to face monsters, they can even abandon their own humanity. Someone who can't throw anything away will never be able to change anything. In the anime, when Eren can't bring himself to transform, Armin tells him the exact same thing. I'm not going to talk about this moment any further since in the original, Mikasa's quote, "We don't have a choice, the world is a cruel place," is motivation enough. After the fight in Stoas, Jean recalls their conversation and asks whether a victory where the ends justify the means has any worth. But the question is being left unanswered as we transition to Erwin's closing line for the season. During his report to the military, "Make no mistake, there is more of them, and we will hunt down every single one of them. The initiative is ours. Starting now, we launch an attack on the Titans within our walls." At that opportunity, why not stay with the one character who gave up on his dream and died? Time and again, be it the setup in Stoas using himself as living bait or the coup d'etat. Throughout the entire series, Erwin shows that he's willing to sacrifice anything and everything, be it his comrades, his humanity, even himself, for the sake of mankind. Or at least, so we are led to believe. Before his most memorable moment, while boulders are barraging at them when he is needed most, he sits down. He's exhausted, to say the least. The symbol that is Erwin breaks in front of Levi. It's probably intentional that the commander in this case is positioned lower than the soldier. He's vulnerable, open to attack, metaphorically as well as literally. I want to go to that basement. Everything I've done till now is because I thought that this day would come, the day where I could find out if I was right. So many times I thought death would be so much easier, but every time, the dream that I shared with my father flashed through my mind. It may have been revealed before, but this moment shows it clearest. Erwin was a slave to his dream. Isayama states it himself. Everything he did, the mask of the selfless leader, the idol or the symbol that he put up for his comrades, for humanity, was all for a selfish dream. And just a quick intermission, but sacrificing something is not about a lack of caring. It's because you care about something else greater. Which means, on the scale of equivalent exchange, not even the hearts of his comrades can outweigh his desire of uncovering the truth. Can you see them, our comrades? They're looking at us. They want to know what became of the hearts they've sacrificed. Because the fight isn't over yet. Tell me, is it nothing more but a childish delusion? You fought well. It is only because of you that we could come this far. I'll make the decision for you. Give up on your dream and die. And so he does. In his final moments, he redeems himself by keeping up the hype machine, the symbol that is Erwin Smith, to the very end, and leads the recruits straight to hell. Now that we've finished talking about Erwin, we can finally go on to what I'd like to say if this chapter wouldn't exist. Seriously, the drama that a single syringe creates after an entire war being fought is crazy to say the least. It's not only what gives us closure to Eren's character arc, but also what restates a core message. It takes a devil to make a miracle come true. It's why Flock states, the only one who can destroy all the Titans is the devil himself, and my mission is to bring the devil back to life. And so, convinced that he's doing what's best for mankind, Levi chooses Erwin, but not without remembering Kenny's final words, that everyone has to be drunk on something just to keep going. And in that moment, Levi finally sees it, how deeply Erwin's dream is embedded in him. Even as he's dying, Erwin asks, how do we know there is no one out there? Erwin is still a slave to his dream, and Levi understands what that means. If he revives Erwin, he doesn't save him, he chains him back to that dream. Why did you choose him? Could I ask you to forgive him? He had no choice but to become a demon. We forced him to. He was finally freed from this hell, but we were about to call him in for another round. It's time for us to let him rest. And thus, for the second time, Levi frees Erwin from his dream, for good. But just as with equivalent exchange, Erwin's peace doesn't come without sacrifice, because that burden is now for Hanji, but more specifically for Armin to carry. During the ceremony, it is made clear. But I do know why Armin was picked. It was because you two and Captain Levi allowed your personal feelings to get the better of yourselves and made an irrational decision. In other words, you couldn't throw away what was important to you after all. And before the battle of heaven and earth, we hear it one more time. Someone who can't throw anything away will never be able to change anything. To win this fight, Armin needs to sacrifice his naive beliefs and ideals, which to some fans apparently isn't enough. But all of that still leaves one question open. It might seem exaggerated to state the same thing for our day-to-day lives, but in an apocalyptic world like AOT, you can't help but ask, why keep on struggling? Why keep on dreaming? If it's just an illusion, then why make it a reality if it's better staying what it is? Why sacrifice? Why overpay? While Griffith made an insurmountable sacrifice, the Eclipse was not his conscious decision. The rumbling, on the other hand, is Eren's conscious choice. And as for his why, it's simple. He doesn't need to fight for a place in this world. He doesn't need to be special. He doesn't need to struggle to be free. He already is all that for being born into it. About a year ago, I made an analysis on Eren's pursuit for freedom, and what I thought was that the rumbling was just that. But after further speculation, that isn't the case. The rumbling is not his pursuit for freedom, it's the manifestation of his hatred towards the world. You see this as early as episode 5, when in a flashback, Armin shows Eren the book about the outside world. Both share the same childish vision, but while for Armin, it's about curiosity and a genuine desire for exploration and knowledge, for Eren, it's about rage. Like a child being told not to do something they wouldn't have done anyway, but now they must do it because it's forbidden. It's about rage. Rage towards the world that doesn't let him see those things, because that day he was reminded of the terror of being at their mercy, of the humiliation of being trapped inside a cage. You see this most clearly when, after a roller coaster of emotions, they reach the sea. For Armin, it's a dream come true, but for Eren, it's anything but that, because it shows that the fighting is not over yet. The moment where Armin offers the seashell to Eren is him symbolically wanting to share the fulfillment of their dream, but by refusing to accept it, by going forward, he shows Armin that their dreams aren't the same. They never were. We see this one last time when Hanji gives the role of commander to Armin. She says, "The quality required of a Survey Corps commander is the unyielding desire for a broader understanding. There are none more suited for this duty than you." Yeah, you can't imagine anyone saying that to Eren now, can you? It's this desire for a broader understanding, this scout mindset, that shows the final separation between Eren's and Armin's dreams. The rumbling is to Eren what the sea is to Armin. They are nothing more but two sides of the same coin. So even if all he's doing is making his friends live long, happy lives, in the cruel world of AOT, that is the price that you must be willing to pay. But during the final episode, when Eren talks to Armin in Paths, he says this: he doesn't know why he did everything, only that he wanted to do it so badly. He thought his actions were meant to protect everyone, but in the end, Sasha and Hanji died because of him, as well as forcing his friends into life or death fights, turning them against each other. He questions why everything turned out this way, then answers himself. It's because he's an idiot, a fool who gained power he never truly understood. To him, that's why things ended the only way they could, to which Armin responds, quote, "I get it, wanting to erase people from the world. I felt that way too. Liar, you would never, nobody would guess it, considering I'm a hero who saved 20% of humanity. Still, it was me that showed you the book about the outside world. The one who put the idea of a free, unoccupied world in your head was me." Armin then shows him the seashell that he wanted to show him back when they reached the ocean. "So you finally noticed it. It was at our feet the whole time, but you were always looking off into the distance." End quote. Because the truth is, the person who dreams and the person who has are not the same. The version of you that wants the dream can never have it, because the only person capable of living that dream is the one you refuse to become. So the real question isn't whether your dream is possible, it's whether you're willing to trade your current self for it. Because that's what it truly means to dream.